Hi, it's Roberta with Quilt Crafters Corner. Today we're going to talk about labels. The other day I was asked a question about how I label my quilts. So I'd like to show you some of the options that are available to you in order to label your quilts. So the first option that I have is it's a product by June Taylor, and it is actually fabric with a paper sheet on it that you put through your inkjet printer. And these labels, the template was given to me by the charity itself, so it follows all of their guidelines on what they want on the label. So these are how those labels come out, and actually these are probably the most economical for us as a charity. And this is 25 sheets, and it costs us $50 to buy this package. And I believe they have a 10 sheet option for about $28, $29, something like that. So this is a really good option if you're going to consistently label your quilts with the same information. Because once you build the template for it, it's just putting it through your printer and printing it. So this is a good option for a consistent, regular label that you're constantly using. So it works well for the charity quilts that I do. So that's the first option. And the second option is, if you do it with this fabric paper, you have to make your own design if you don't have one already. So keep that in mind. That's something that you will have to do. Okay, so the next option is actually fabric that is printed in label form. And the problem with these sometimes is they're a little small. So to get all the information into them or on them is not always as easy. But if you're just going to put a name, this is a really, really good option. So anytime I see fabric like this that's made specifically for labels, I usually get a hold of some so that I've got it in my stash. And it works well for just a simple name and a date. That would work really well. So let's talk about some of the things that you can put on a label. The date is always good, especially if you're making this for a specific occasion, graduation, wedding, birth, things like that. It's always really important to put the date. The other thing is not only their name that you're giving it to, but your name. If you quilted it, if you made the top and quilted it. If you didn't quilt it, it's always nice to give the quilter credit, because let's face it, they do a lot of work to get your quilts quilted. So that's something else. Now, the next option, and this is a little bit more basic, let's call it that, is you have either fabric that you're just going to add a name to, or you just take a plain piece of muslin. And what you're going to do is get freezer paper with the shiny side to the back of the fabric, iron it, and then you can write on this. So the first thing I want to make really clear is if you're going to use freezer paper, make sure it's smaller than the label. It fits inside where you're going to write, but smaller, because when you take this off, this will pull threads, and it will sometimes destroy or distort your fabric. So be careful about that if you're going to use freezer paper. Now, if you're going to use freezer paper, you have options, and the options of your pens are important, and it just depends on what you want this to look like. There is the Pigma Micron pen, and it is 0.05. Anything smaller than that, and you're going to have trouble getting the ink to go nicely into the fabric, because the tip is so fine it bounces too much. So something to think about when you buy pens for this. You want a permanent type pen, And this one actually works the best, and it seems to last the longest in my experience. So the Pigma Micron 0.05 is a really good option. The next option is a Sharpie, and it is also a permanent pen, and it's a fine point, and as you can see, it's really quite fine. So anything smaller than that, extra fine or very fine, will be too small, and you'll have the same problem writing on the labels. The last option is something we just came across, and it's called Jelly Rolls with a G. G-E-L-L-Y, roll. And it's not permanent, but it is water fast, and it doesn't fade. And it also comes in sparkly colors. So if you like sparkles, this is the pen for you, and it works well also. So we have used this. But I don't have a long running experience with this of 2 or 3 years. I think we've just been using it for almost a year now. So this is something that if you wanted to make something a little bit more elaborate, this is something that you could get, and it comes in all different colors. So that's an option for you too. So the idea with the label is you're building the story of your quilt and of the things that you want to memorialize on this label. So keep that in mind, and anything you put on the label, it's entirely up to you. So I want to thank you for watching. Like the YouTube video, and I will see you next time.